A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there. Welcome to my channel, the Twinflame Union. Yesterday I had spoken about something called the duality, opposite polarity, and the very reason why you're in the twin flame journey. As a divine feminine, you're supposed to heal the masculine energies at your end, which are unhealed and wounded. And as a divine masculine, that person is supposed to heal the wounded feminine energy in the masculine's life. A mother figure, sister figure, anyone who's feminine basically, feminine energy. And this is the key reason why that you are in a twin flame journey. Because you have to heal the masculine and the feminine energies at both of your ends. And this is the reason why you are in opposite polarity despite being almost same. So this is how nature works. This is how universe works. Universe is literally a magician. So at the same time when you and your divine masculine or you and your divine feminine, whichever way it is, you feel a strange kind of familiarity with each other, like you're so same. Certain things about you are literally exact match. And at the same time, you will witness certain opposite qualities which are very natural as well. And then I also tell you guys that in the channeling sessions, we not only channel messages, but we also channel lessons. Because when you hear about something, you can also attract that information or that energy or that frequency in future after listening to it, after understanding. Many a times we also change or we also upgrade ourselves to a higher version due to biomimetic mimicry. This means that if you look at the dictionary meaning, it means that a method or a way to mimic biochemical processes. Biochemical processes happen in our body, in our mind, in our brain, in our nervous system all the time, right? And you also know that our body, our mind and our soul, there's a very important connection on how all of these function. Like the brain is a good organ because it manages the central nervous system, and then the bodily actions and activities are easier. And you must have heard this, if you're Indian, you would have probably heard it, but I'll translate it for you in English and I'll speak about it. There is a saying that खरबूजे को देख के खरबूजा रंग बदलता है, which means when a watermelon looks at another watermelon, it also changes its color. So in the twin flame journey, we are like those watermelons, we need to see, we need to look at each other. When you are ripe and when you are in your full energies, you can actually pass it on to other people. Energy works wonderfully like that. Sometimes when a person is really low, very dejected, very rejected, very upset, doesn't have any place to go, doesn't know what to do, at that time, certain words can bring them out of their situation. In case of divine feminines, you have to understand that their support system always lies outside the biological circle. Once the feminine has healed her wounds and she has healed herself, it's the divine masculine that would seek inspiration from her. So from that perspective, actually both of them are somehow always triggering each other's growth. Like if he hadn't betrayed her, she won't have done inner work. And if she won't have done inner work and gotten ascended and become like who she should be, then he would not have stepped up to think that, okay, she's an amazing person and she's doing really wonderful things in life. So I was wrong about her, And she also gets a lot of power from the ascension journey because the ascension journey teaches the divine feminine to become totally independent. This is all about being independent. This is all about thinking that I can do literally everything on this planet, whatever I want to do, if I have source with me by my side. You need to have faith in the higher power, the supreme being. and you only learn by practical experience or via practical experience. But one of the key things that has been popping up in the current channelings or the current energies is that the divine feminine, if she really wants to heal so much and she wants to get into the union, she needs to heal the masculine energies at her end. Brother, father, grandparents, grandfather, either she needs to make peace with them, or she needs to let it go, whatever is not needed. In some cases, there are certain aspects of abuse that come from those protective energies that ideally should have been protective energies, but they are not. There are issues of abandonment, there are issues of neglect, or it is being made, it's been projected to her that probably the father figure is a villain, father figure is not a good person, father figure is doing this, father figure is doing that. So there is a huge level of misunderstanding, a lot of blocked energy that needs to be cleared and needs to be healed. It may also feel like for a lot of you that ever since you started getting into the ascension journey or the world of ascension, you have started losing people around you. But that is actually a very good thing, because if you're losing people around you and you're still successful, which means you're financially independent, or you have a better emotional support system, or you have some kind of go-to place from where you can derive positive energy without the help of other people around you. See, we always live in our minds. A lot of people live in their minds, right? Or technically you should be in your soul body all the time, and you should know that everything around me is just temporary, and it's temporary, but I am also creating a reality, or I am here to do something which is a part of my authentic nature. Now, all these channelings can be very helpful for a lot of people, because divine feminines need to heal the masculine energies, and a lot of divine feminines are not even willing to get into the inner work mode until and unless they have tried and tested everything out. I know a lot of them know that they need healing, they need therapy, or they need to do some kind of inner work, they need to do this, they need to do that. They know it, but they don't want to do it because they feel that maybe they can do something. They are the doers of this whole situation, and they have to make some kind of action, a physical action, or like a verbal action, going up to a place, doing this, doing that, trying something like that to fix situations outside or in their relationships. But nothing ever works like that. Nothing. Now, when you heal your masculine energies, like your father, brother, elder, younger, grandfather, teachers, there are many, there are men in the neighborhood also. There are men who work under you also, servants or other employees if you have hired employees. So the men are around you all the time, and it doesn't matter that you are in a relationship, like an intimate relationship, a committed relationship, in the worldly world eyes, like you have a boyfriend or you have a husband. Even if you don't have that type of a relationship, a boyfriend or a husband, but you are still interacting with the masculine energy on a daily basis, right? So your understanding of masculine energy has to be proper. Second thing is that now in the twin flame journey, like otherwise you would not know. You would meet a man and you would meet a woman and you would think that this is a female feminine and this is a male masculine. When you get ahead, when you cross the runner-chaser dynamic, you somehow manage surrender, you start finding out that, oh my God, we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. Like a lot of females have divine masculine energy, and even me at one point, like few years back, I did not know this. And I personally feel that people who are big shots, like famous people especially, they have more problems than us, because the ego is very big and the ego is being massaged every day. And actually, when you become a person like who's very famous, your ego has to be really, really, really big. Only then you can, or you want to be famous in such a way that you want a lot of people to love you. and then you feel validated. So I personally feel that common people who are commoners, so as to say, they are probably better off than the famous people. The famous people I have worked with personally also, they have lot more insecurities than anybody else. They have a lot of addiction issues, they have a lot of drug abuse, they have a lot of alcohol, substance abuse, and then they have a parade of people around them. So if you tell them that, look, you should do this or you should do that, they'll be like, oh, you can't say this to me. Why am I talking about this here is because a lot of us look at the famous people, or we look at the media, or we look at what is being shown to us, what is being transmitted to us via satellite, and we start living our lives according to it. So this whole concept of masculine and feminine was actually thrown at me a couple of years back, say 7 years back or 8 years back, And this was after I had already written a book on twin flames. So you see how things were happening at my end also. So I was sort of thinking that how can this actress who's a female have masculine energy? And obviously the coach had no information or no knowledge about the twin flame journey. So that's when it just sort of, I don't know, sometimes, you listen to something and it just fits in your brain. You can't go away from it. I really wanted to do research on what is this whole masculine energy, feminine energy, how do you read it? How do you recognize it in people when you meet them? What are the behavioral aspects that make you feel? Then I also learned that when the coach was talking to me about the actor and the actress, he was actually reading the energy based on the worldly perspective. Like in the twin flame journey, in the ascension journey, we talk about the energies in a very, soul level. And we look at all the behavioral aspects like chasing or running or things like, talking in a certain way, having those opposite energies, opposite polarity, certain things, even things like how much financial security you have can talk a lot about you being a masculine or feminine energy, and how you have amassed your wealth or how you are managing to do things can talk a lot about which type of energy you are. Especially in the twin flame journey. And during some of the readings, when I told some of the females that you are actually the runner and you are the masculine energy, they were completely shocked. And then during the reading only, it came out that they were actually the runners, but they did not know properly. And they were running away from that person. They were not talking to that person. They were in communication as well. They were getting those contacts and those calls, but they were totally ignoring it. They were totally like, no, it doesn't work. It's very difficult. I don't know what to do. But the only thing they come to me for a reading or a therapy is because they cannot get this person out of their heads or their life. Even if they have moved on, even if they are married to someone, even if they have a child, and especially after having a child, things have changed for them. Especially because, when you raise a child or when you give birth to a child through a masculine or through a feminine who is really not your ultimate, divine masculine or feminine, it doesn't feel right. But the child has come to the world and that child then becomes the mission. And once the child is there, then also I have noticed people, they start to work. Or what they do is, there are some people who just don't want to work, right? So they go on and on and on and on. They have 1 child, 2, 3, and the children are there. But they want to work or they want to do inner work, like willingly. When they see that those children, the same children are going away from them, they don't love them, they don't respect them, they don't like them. And these people are also reflecting a lot of narcissistic characteristics. So then they are like scared, they are freaked out that, my children are going away from me, I really need to fix it. So for 10 years, 12 years, they didn't care about fixing it. They knew there was a certain problem, but they did not care about fixing it at all. Now, I would also like to say it here that for personal readings, for dream interpretation, for therapies, for transmutation of fear-based energy into love energy towards your divine masculine, these type of therapies are really helpful because they make you more and more and more independent. And remember one thing always, you cannot change your situation, you cannot change your reality until and unless you change how you feel. Your feelings actually create a reality, And that's why we also tell you to become nonchalant, because that's the best way to live your life. when you don't really think so much, you don't care about your thoughts, and just life is happening spontaneously. People who are in 5D union also, they are actually quite happy in enjoying their lives, and they also do inner work, they also do ascension work. Why? Because they understand that you got to keep doing it. It is a part of you and it's a part of your lifestyle. Also, I would really request all of you to first go through the description box, which is under all videos. Click on the description box if you are looking for a reading or if you're looking for a therapy. If you're not, it's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to the channelings and take as much benefit as you can from them. But if you want to go through therapy sessions, counselings, or readings, then check out all the information before you write to me, because a lot of people ask me the same questions. What is the reading all about? How is the reading done? Where is the link to book the session? How do I do this? How do I do? Everything is, what are the therapies? What type of therapies? Can you please tell me what would be good for me? Again, what would be good for you, you have to decide that. Whatever you resonate with, you have to take that call. I am not the right person to actually decide for you. So go through that information, and then you can, with your, all the information research you have done, then you can write to me at the sunamoon@gmail.com. And also, because when we do readings, I don't ideally want to know anything about your twin flame journey, because if I know about your twin flame journey, then the reading can get affected by it, right? We want clear answers from tarot or the intuitive domain, so we should not know anything in advance. But when we do therapy sessions, then we have to dig deep into your past. We have to go to all possible places where there could be trauma bonds, where there could be abuse or neglect or smothering of love, whatever the case is. Alright, so now, if some of you heard yesterday's channeling on Divine Masculine Wants to Be Bad, you must have heard that I spoke about my father and I shared his journey with you all. Of course, it was a shared journey with me as well. And I spoke about him because he taught me a very big lesson. And the lesson was that he taught me to not be so good, not be extra good. Because if you're so good, if you're extra good, then people will abuse you. The world will destroy you. They will never let you rise. They will never let you be who you are. And I know all the time he suffered. He always suffered because of people who knew him. Somebody would not pay him up on time, and it was probably a relative, because the relative knew that my father was a very kind-hearted man who was not at all materialistic. And this is the reason why he experienced a lot of financial losses in business also. And those financial losses used to break his morale down, especially when, back in those days. Now there is this wave of ascension and there are people who are there to help us out. But back then, world was more materialistic. People were so programmed, so deeply programmed. It was all about how much money you have, how many things you have, where your children are going to study, which school, is it an expensive school or not, or is it what type of lifestyle people have. People used to judge each other on those things, and he was absolutely not like that. He was just a person who was he was also a hermit. But he got into a family life, he got married very late, and I'm sure that's going to be the case with me as well. But I'm very happy. I honestly don't think that marriage is a solution to many of the problems that people have, or children. There are a lot of unhealed, wounded people who are reproducing and bringing more children to the world. And guess what they're doing to the children? They are unhealed, so they are abusing the children knowingly or unknowingly. And this generation of our people also, we are suffering because we were raised by unhealed masculines and feminines. And the masculines and feminines who were before us, they were living in a planet where all the focus was either on patriarchy or matriarchy. There was no focus on children. Children should be the focus in any society, in any community. Every community should be a children-oriented community. Only then, when we grow up as adults, We can spread true love. We can spread one love on the planet, and we can take care of the planet, and it can be a much better, beautiful, healthy, green planet. The good thing about the ascension journey is that when you are healing, when you're doing the ascension work, you're actually shocked to know that there was so much garbage stuck within you that was not letting you stop. Like you want to paint a picture, or you want to be an artist, or you want to be a dancer, singer, whatever you want to do, you just want to do it. But your sacral chakra is so blocked, that your creativity never flows. Or even if it flows, you're always under the pressure, like how will I make money? Even if I'm an artist, how do I make money with that, Can I make money by singing songs? And then what happens in today's world, because this world is all about content and likes and followers and, this and that. I mean, for your work, it's absolutely fine. But if you're doing your work for the subscribers, like if I start making all these videos and all this content only to increase my subscribers and only to increase my views, then I'm actually not making any good content. Life on planet Earth is all about creating balance. It's all about creating a balance, the right balance between good and bad. When people are very innocent, they're very good, always good, then these are the people who always get hurt by others, and they cannot even complain because their feelings don't matter, and the other person also knows that this person is too good. He won't say anything or she won't say anything. They don't mind, And if you're too bad also, constantly doing bad things, constantly hurting other people, constantly saying mean things, you're being rude, you're being bossy, you're being an egoistic person, you're always throwing tantrums, you're always difficult, you want this, you want that, constantly putting pressures on others for your own happiness. And there are some people who are crybabies, they're constantly crying. So there are different types of goods and different types of bads also. There are different types of narcissistic people. A lot of people think that narcissistic abuse only happens by domination. No. Narcissistic abuse also happens when people around you are constantly helpless. Like when it comes to them, they'll be very helpless. They'll be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I cannot do anything. Oh my God, I am uneducated. I am so poor. Or I'm a woman. Or I'm a man. Whatever applies in situations. Or I'm so sick. I'm so weak. They'll always, whenever they are in a spot, they'll always come up with something which sounds really painful. It is not painful actually. But they always make it sound painful. And be very careful about the false twins also. Because when you meet a false twin will take advantage of your goodness. And they will fool you for a very long time. Because they know you're a good person. Technically, you'll not do anything bad. Even if they give a lot of bad behavior, a lot of horrible behavior towards you. They know it. That's why they choose you in the first place, because they know that you are vulnerable and you're gullible. And on top of that, your problem is that you're too good. Too good to be true types, So, I remember when I was in a false twin relationship, and the mother was obviously a very difficult lady. And one day when I asked her that, why don't you like me? Like, why do you have so much problem with me? Because every time I used to go to, this guy's house, or every time we used to have a family dinner or a family get together, it would always turn very weird and very awkward. And she would keep saying things, like, why don't you teach him something good? Why don't you make him work? Why don't you help him to earn money? Or why don't you invest in the business that he's doing, which obviously was never working because they needed girls like me to, pump in the money. She would constantly torture me. Constantly she would keep bringing up things this lacks in her, that lacks in her, this girl is like this. Even the good things, they would pick it up, and if you ask them that, like, why do you have a problem with me? Oh, because you're a writer, because you're from the media, it's your profession actually. And I would be like, I think everyone wants to, like, a lot of people would want to be a writer or do the things that I'm doing. How is that a bad thing? So it took me a long time actually, and that's the reason why I talk about false twin relationships, so that you also see the signs and get out of it as soon as possible. False twin relationships are most difficult relationships to get out from. And when I asked this lady, like, what exactly troubles you about me? And she said, I have a problem with your goodness. So basically, she used to enjoy troubling me, the whole family, the son and the mother and the sister. It was literally the whole family. Everyone used to gang up and they would keep telling me, how life is this and how life is that and what all we need to do. And being a chilled out person, it was 50% ascension work was already done, So I wasn't really materialistic at that time. I wasn't bothered about anything. I was traveling a lot. Even if I was in a relationship, I did not care at all. I had become like that because my, every time I would spend a few months with him, my energy would go very low. I literally felt that someone was, with an injection, how you take out blood, the same way somebody was taking out my energy every single day. So it was really hard and I could not really figure out. And then obviously, slowly and gradually, using all the education and all the work that I was doing, I was like, okay, I have to get out from it before others have managed to, because I found out that there were people in false twin relationships for 12 years, 14 years, and already, whatever time I had been into that relationship, already it felt like 3,000-4,000 years. So I was like, I can't keep doing this for the rest of my life. So it's a trap. It's a trap because everybody wants to be loved by others and everyone loves to listen to their praise. So praise, now you'll learn in this journey, in the ascension journey, that poor divine feminines, they were pleasing other people constantly throughout their lives, despite going through so much pressure, so much negativity, so much neglect. They were continuously pleasing other people. Why? Because they thought that by pleasing other people, I'm going to get some validation and I'm going to get some love. I'm going to get some acceptance for who I am. But did you get that acceptance? Obviously, you did not. Forget about acceptance. You probably got a very weak kind of acknowledgement. Like the same thing, if it's made by some other child or your own sibling, they would probably get, I can tell you this amazing example. Like, for example, there are two children in the same family. One is on the ascension, or say there are 4 children in the family. Okay? One of them is in hardcore ascension, born with all the chakras open and things like that, having a very unique, curious mind. A lot of children who are not good in studies, they were given drugs and medicines and they were really tortured a couple of years back only. And I actually met some of those people. And they were all Americans for a strange reason. They told me that they had some attention deficit disorder when they were children. Like they would go to the school and the teachers would tell the parents that, oh, your son or your daughter has this kind of strange disorder. So what do? You give them these medicines and that will numb down their mind. They will not be like this anymore. They'll just sit in one corner and they'll listen to the teacher and they'll study. So imagine at that young age, the children are getting so many drugs. What would that do to their third eye? What would that do to their crown? What would it do to their heart chakra? Imagine, they just want to be children. They just want to enjoy. They just want to run around, do this, do that. But they've been told that they're medically unfit, psychologically unfit. Some psychiatrist who's done probably a degree, because the work we do, there is no degree for it actually. But there are people who are being taught about this disorder, that disorder, and for this bipolar, you should give this particular pill. For that, you should give that pill. There is no talk of herbs or Ayurvedic medicines or actually natural things that can help you. And especially focused attention can actually even fix the the toughest of narcissistics can be healed. But as per medical science, they cannot be healed. And the narcissistic people always get healed when they come across a super empath. And a super empath can be that type of a person who has been an oversensitive or oversensitive empath. So that is the reason why your pairing with your divine masculine or your divine feminine is extremely important. So if there are, say, 4 children in the same house and one of them is like already born to be in the ascension journey, and the second one is supposed to watch them and come into the ascension journey, and the rest two don't really care. They're completely materialistic and they're karmic children. They have taken birth on planet Earth only to release the karmic baggage, or they actually come here. Everyone comes here to neutralize the karmic baggage, but they get trapped into the cycle and then they keep rolling into it for I don't know how many years or how many lives. We don't know that. So if it's a narcissistic parent who's taking care of these children, these 4 children, the narcissistic parent will definitely not like those children who have the seed of ascension in them. A narcissistic parent would want children who, or would love children who are in their control. And they normally, when they meet a child or when they give birth to a child who has the symptoms of ascension, they know that this child is very different, but the child can be manipulated, and the child should not be a child anymore. The child has certain qualities that they recognize, they can see it. But they feel that, why don't I put this child to use? Why don't I get this child to do my work? So that particular child would be either a caretaker for other children or the same adults, or that particular child, since that child is not in control of this person, and they can manipulate them using love bombings in between. And this is also a reason why a lot of divine feminines, they get enamored or attracted by guys who use, or men who use, love bombing techniques. That's because since childhood they've only been receiving that, and they think or they assume that this is true love. So my request to everyone here is that try to look for places where you can heal the masculine and the feminine energy via your surroundings, your immediate surroundings. Don't be scared that you'll be left alone, because when you are on the path of truth, a seeker normally walks alone. And as long as you're going to be scared of these things, like I'll be all alone, I'll be left out, what am I going to do? Then you are still not ready to take the leap of faith. Because when you actually start enjoying this whole ascension journey, then you will realize that how much you love your own privacy, freedom and space. You would not want to share it even with your so-called, or the person that you're actually getting into this ascension journey for, your divine masculine or your divine feminine, whosoever you're here for. You would not even want them to be in that space. Can you believe that? They'll have to create their own space to be around you. And you're going to act in a certain way where your life is going to be of use. Even if you're dead, hundreds of years after your death also, you've probably done something, you've contributed in such a way that people are going to reap certain benefits, and those benefits will be good for ascension only. Let me tell you, because ascension is about a lifestyle which is a neutral lifestyle, which is not about being good or being bad. Good and bad is basically nothing but a tool of interaction with other people. When you meet a good person, like when I say good here, I mean authentic. When you meet an authentic person, a real person, or certain aspects about them are real, you're going to fan that fire. When you're in ascension, you can see those people. Oh, this person has this talent, or this person has this issue. So you can uplift them, or you can just uplift them via your own lifestyle also, via your own living techniques. They'll see it and they'll be like, oh, this person can do it, so I can also do it. I'm not alone. So this is the meaning of not being alone, is when you know that there are other people on planet Earth, or there are other people in the universe who are like you. You have been told that there's a problem with you, that you're not good enough, or that you have to please other people, right? You need to be under some kind of a control. There are talks of black magic. There are certain families, they constantly talk about black magic and witches in a very negative way. As if the person who is casting a spell or doing some kind of black magic on you or your relationship has more power over you. Nobody has any power over anyone else unless you think that they do. If you think that they do, like it happens with the karmics, all divine feminines think, they assume that the karmic is more powerful than her, or she is more amazing than her, and that's the reason why the divine masculine went to him. And actually, you are the person, because of your own thoughts, he went to her. When you do ascension journey, all those relationships, they just fall flat. Because he can see the reality of the relationship. He doesn't even like to talk to them anymore. In fact, he feels like, I was so stupid, I was trying to get, into a relationship with such a person. Or if they got into a relationship, they would actually look back at it and be like, oh my God, that was a terrible mistake. Why? Because you have taken away your attention and your focus from the karmic or the karmic templates or the karmic issues. Like if you constantly think that he doesn't love me because of XYZ attribute of my nature, and you're constantly focused on that particular attribute, then that particular attribute will become the reason of separation because you're thinking in those lines. The best way to do is not think at all. The best way is to not think at all. And you might want to think, then how am I going to live my life if I'm not going to think? You should think when you're into something. Like for example, if I have to watch a show at 4 o'clock, right? If I have to watch the show at 4 o'clock, then I should not be thinking about the show at 12 in the afternoon and then think about the show for next 3 hours, Then that way I'm actually wasting 3 hours of my life or 4 hours of my life, my precious time, into thinking about something which isn't even here. And imagine at 4 o'clock when you're about to watch the show, something happens, you're not able to watch it. It's just a very small example, but this is a very easy to understand example. So the divine masculine energy, it needs healing. And it needs healing thanks to the divine feminine, because he has also helped and played a pivotal role in helping her ascend. At that point in time, he was more stubborn, he was more confident about what he was thinking. Whether he was right or wrong, that is not the point here. Whether he was good or bad was not the point here. The point is that he has helped you to become a better person, a happier person, and a more independent person. And I mean in many ways, financially, sexually, mentally, physically, energy-wise. And sexually doesn't mean that you have to, involve with other people intimately. You can be independent, you can be single, and you can be sexually very, very happy as well. Sexuality is about you, who you are, and it doesn't have anything to do with the identity as well. The ascension journey also tries to tell you that you need to sometimes learn to sit back and observe. Not everything needs your reaction. There's also a quote like this. Not everything needs your reaction. You don't have to respond to everything that happens in your life. There are many things that you should simply just ignore. And the moment you ignore, you'll be free. You'll be free. Like if there's a lady in your neighborhood, every time you see that lady, you feel some very heavy energy. You don't like her and, whatever the attention-seeking things she's doing or whatever negative things she's doing. And the minute you ignore her and you get back to doing whatever you were doing, you don't have to give even one point, the smallest point of your energy, of your time to that woman. If you think that she is making you feel uneasy, the moment you do that, you are free from that negativity. You're not going to roll in that energy for such a long time. So, this is probably a message from the divine, from above, that look around you, heal the relationships which need healing, and let go of the relationships that you don't need anymore. And it could be anybody. It could be anybody. There's no judgment at all. If somebody is pulling you down on a constant basis, it's all right to step away. If you know it, if you know that this person is making me feel really bad all the time, just by their dialogues, just by having a phone call, I feel so low. 20 minutes of a phone conversation, you're low. It's like, especially if you have gone through narcissistic abuse, you're going to be very uncomfortable around narcissistic people because they'll constantly praise themselves. Even if you're talking about a random situation, like, you're saying that, hey, I had this experience. So people in the ascension journey will talk about an experience like an experience or what they learned from it. But a narcissistic person will pick up the same experience, use the same language, the same words, but they'll do it to praise themselves. Such people, even when they talk about gods, they do it in such a way that they're not praising God. They're praising themselves thanks to God. So, we have to be very careful because ascension is all about knowing the difference between being authentic and not being authentic, being real versus fake. And authentic people have to be a badass sometimes, and authentic people have to be good at times, depending on the situation. And depending on the situation, when you also learn to sit back and just observe things, just enjoy the show. When you just watch the show, what happens is that whenever you're supposed to do something, you don't know you're going to be a good person or a bad person in a certain situation. You're going to be a good cop or a bad cop, but it will happen automatically. And once it's done, you're not going to think about it. The problem is that when you're not in the mode of ascension, even if you do something, like say you had to be a badass, you had to give it back to someone. Someone was misbehaving with you, and you had to tell them that, hey, you know what? I'm done with you. I don't want to talk to you. Just get lost from here, okay? Don't disturb me. And you tell them exactly that, you know what? I don't like your lies. I don't like your strange behavior. I don't like your fake attitude. And that's it. You're going to say it in the moment itself, whenever that moment happens. It will be so spontaneous, and you'll move on from it. And you'll not even think that, why did I do this? Why did I say that? Now I'm going to be all alone. I had just one friend, Or maybe this person, was there for me at least when I wanted to kill my time. And now, thanks to what I said, that's over. So that is something you won't do. You'll actually rather think that, instead of wasting my time with such friends who are so difficult or who are so weird or who are liars or I don't like the energy, I'm not comfortable around them, I'd rather be all by myself, I'd rather be alone, That would make me feel like a happier person, a much more stable person. These are the same things that the Divine Masculine is going to think when you ascend. So if you really want to help that DM of yours, you gotta help your own self first. And if you're feminine, then you have to heal the masculine energy. And if you're a masculine, then you have to heal the feminine energy around you. It's as simple as that. So on that note, I'm going to say that I'm going to close this channeling session. And I'll see you soon in another one. And it's amazing what you're doing. Thank you so much. One love and peace out.